Hey, RV sales pros, welcome back. We got another great video. So we're going to talk about the paradox of choice. So,
Yay.
yay, we've joined in office in studio by the anonymous sales pro who is still in the industry. So we're protecting his identity, and
Hey,
this is
everyone.
legit, yeah, because it could impact things. I am also in the industry, uh, but I care a little less. So,
He
yeah.
cares about you.
I do. So that's what we're trying to do is arm you and gear you up so that when you go into the negotiating, whether you're buying an RV or selling an RV, you know what to expect. And
Hmm.
so in this video, the paradox of choice, one of the things that you'll see is you get into this space of choice overload theory. There's a study that was done on jelly jars where they had myriad choices. They had so many choices that people would see all of these jellies or these jams, and they couldn't make a decision because there was this fear of missing out. So if they chose one, they'd miss out on another, and there were too many of them, so they got overloaded, and they just decided on nothing. And that happens quite a bit.
Hmm.
So for you as you're shopping or if you're selling, either side of this, if you give too many options, you're going to overload a person. What they found in that study was that when they narrowed it down to three, maybe four at the most choices,
Hmm.
that they sold out of the jelly jars just unbelievably fast. So it's really just when you narrow your choices, you're able to come to a decision easier. There's an energetic cost to doing that. Give me
Yeah, I
one
would
second. Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
say that yeah, and uh, a lot of times when you walk into an RV dealership, you're going to have your walls up because they're going to pair you with a salesperson.
Right.
They're not all bad. There are some, but they're not all bad. Really what their job is to do is to make it so that you don't have choice overload.
Right. Right.
If you allow them and engage in their process fully knowing that that's their process and aware of it, you'll still stay conscious and you can make good decisions. But if you follow them and let them ask their questions, typically they can ask you some questions that will narrow down the choices, because the truth is you're not in the RV, you're not in the inside the dealership to buy every RV there.
Right.
And
Right.
some of the bigger dealerships could have 3 or 4 or 500 different units on the lot. Really, their goal is to get it narrowed down to three, four, five, somewhere in that range. Um,
Well, I
and then,
know. Yeah,
yeah,
I know if somebody comes in, they're like, I want to see this one and this one and this one and this one. That guy's they're not buying that. That
yeah,
lady, she's not buying.
yeah. Here's
Like,
my card, and I'm going to show you where they are. And when you're
yeah, yeah,
done, come back in and let's talk.
exactly. That's
Because
the
otherwise,
response you'll get.
yeah, you're going to waste your time, and then you're going to think
Yeah,
that they're probably rude or something. But they don't
yeah,
want to go out there for 4 hours, because you could definitely get stuck on a lot looking around and kind of go down the rabbit hole of RV sales or RV buying, just
yeah,
and looking RV looking. I'm going to call it at that point, because it takes a long time to narrow it down. When you allow that salesperson to ask some questions, they can at least trim some of the fat off for
right,
you
right.
quickly. And
So
if those don't work, then you could move from there. But typically, a good salesperson will know their inventory and can help you through that.
I would say if you're out buying is narrow your choices down by category, and then
Mm.
by category narrow it down to brand, and then by brand narrow it down to product. And so try and do that before you go in.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
and I would say too, like, tow vehicle, because there's maybe if you're pulling something, so not a motorized product. So you
right.
decide if you want a motorized product or a towable, and then new or used or both. Price point is a big thing. How many people you're sleeping. Those are things that come up really quickly for me, and I can narrow that down to
Yeah,
just and how you're using it. I can narrow that down real quick when a
yeah.
customer comes in.
Choice overload's not a negative thing at all. It's just recognizing how we make decisions. So narrow your choices down.
Yep.
And and a salesperson, that's their job is to help you narrow that down. But just know if you want to look at everything, they're going to shut down because that takes them away from the floor and opportunity. That's how they make their living.
Hmm.
So try and do
Yep.
some of that before you go in.
Yeah, they run on a batting order of sorts, and so it's a rotation. So if you're
Yeah,
there just because you were driving by and thought it was a fun place to be, they might treat you like that, like you're not
yeah,
a buyer, because they could wait for days to get an opportunity to have an RV sale.
Yeah.
You
Don't show up
just
at 5:55 when they close at 6. They won't
these
like
are all
you.
great other videos that we can talk about too.
Right, right. Cool. All right, guys. Any other thoughts?
So I think it's perfect.
Perfect. Okay, go make it sales pro kind of day. Like go out there and practice these things and let us know your thoughts. And if you have questions that we haven't answered, ask those questions and we'll do a video on it.
Yeah, or topics that you want to talk
Yeah,
about. We'll dive in and tackle them. We're
for
not
sure.
scared.
We
Maybe a
don't know
little.
the answer, but we'll make it up. All right, guys. We'll